All right. Welcome everybody to RWISOA live webinar series week 10. Just gonna do a couple of radio checks. Ryan, do I have you?
Yeah, hi Richard.
Hi, Ryan. Manny, do I have you?
Yes, hi. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Manny. And Todd, do we
Hello,
have you?
Richard.
Yeah, I'm
Very
here.
good.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so we have everybody in today. Great. This is the first time ever. We got
A
everybody on time.
rarity.
Yeah, man, first time ever. So let's get going before before we lose connection. So welcome. We are RWISOA, uh, and today we're actually live on Facebook. So we're doing the webinar. We already have a couple hundred people, and we're on Facebook as well. So it's a good day today, and we have great presenters. Just a quick reminder: we are RWISOA, which stands for Rockland Westchester Intercollegiate Soccer Officials Association. We are a non-for-profit organization under the Internal Revenue Code 501c3. Any more information regarding Rockland Westchester, please visit our website, rwisoa.org. We are a proud chapter of NISOA. If you want to become a college official and you don't have the contact information from your state, from your city, please visit NISOA.com, NISOA.com, and look for the local contact information. The RWISOA webinar live series is sponsored by the NISOA Foundation Fund. If you are a chapter clinician and you're looking for funding for your clinics, your training sessions, please visit NISOA website and look for the NISOA Foundation link, and it gives you the steps on how to request funding for your training sessions, which is very, very important. So during this past 10 weeks, we've been lucky to be connecting and interacting with over 3,800 referees from 48 states, representing 88 NISOA chapters, plus hundreds of international referees from 14 countries. Our webinar series has been downloaded over 7,500 times. We are and we have over 4,000 views on our Facebook Live repeats. So we've been very, very happy and very lucky to connect with so many referees. I think thank you to the NISOA and all the great presenters. We've been doing something good. So we continue. We're thinking and continue to doing this for a long period of time. Now Todd is going to talk about NISOA and the online teaching that there's coming up soon. So I leave that for Todd to share with all of you. So just a quick reminder, today we are on Facebook. So if you go to our Facebook page, RWISOA.referees on Facebook, you can follow us there if you don't have the time to log into the webinar. So let's get going. We have a great clinic today. We have 3 great presentations done by 3 great presenters. So let's get going. We're gonna bring in Ryan first. I don't know if I have it right here. No, I don't have it right here. Forget me. It's just that we made a little change, last minute change. So we'll get to Ryan. There is Ryan. There you are, Ryan. I found you. That's you.
Hey,
I found you. Welcome.
thank you.
Welcome. We made a little switch there for we had to. You know how it is. So Ryan is going to be covering violent behavior 1, violent behavior 2, and fighting. So Ryan, so I'm going to give you the power.
Okay, can you see my screen? Oh, here we go. Have to do this.
Yep.
Let me make sure you can see the right screen here. Which screen can you see, Richard?
the NCAA logo 2020 rule change.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So, hey, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back with you all. Richard, I appreciate the invite again. First of all, I want to say I hope this finds everybody doing well. I know we're coming out of this global pandemic, and especially where you all are in the Northeast, there it's been more affected than other parts of the country. And then with all the civil unrest and all this in the last week, I just hope this finds everybody doing well and healthy and all that. So I just wanted to start out by saying that to everyone. So rule changes, violent behavior fighting, a lot of build up to this one. This is probably one of the more significant rule changes we've had over the years. And what I want to try to do tonight is maybe try to make it a little more simplified for everyone. I know it is maybe a little bit confusing for everyone right now, but we're going to try to simplify it. And this is my first kind of go at this presenting to a group. So I'm kind of using you guys as the guinea pigs in a way. So just bear with me through tonight. So we'll talk about the differences in violent behavior 1, violent behavior 2, and fighting. So I'm going to go to the next slide here. And just from a definition standpoint, talking about what the differences are, what we've done is we've redefined the fighting rule and created a violent behavior 1 and a violent behavior 2 red card. And the reason why we did this is to better categorize different violent actions. So the penalty for violent behavior 1, red card, still remains the same as it always has been, a 1-game suspension. However, the penalty for both violent behavior 2 and for fighting is now moving to a 2-game suspension. And our rationale, behind this is to take such actions, headbutting, elbow to the face, stomping, malicious type hair pulling, and to put those into their own category and penalize the more serious actions with a 2-game suspension, not just a 1-game suspension. In the past, as you all know, we put all of these actions into fighting, and that created a bit of a confusion just based on the way the definition was. So violent behavior 1, or violent conduct as we call it in FIFA, is the unwarranted excessive force when not challenging for the ball. So it is when a player uses or attempts to use excessive force, brutality against an opponent when not challenging for the ball, regardless of whether contact is made. Okay, that is the definition of violent behavior, violent conduct. Violent behavior, as we call it in the NCAA rules, violent conduct, same thing. The violent behavior 2 in fighting will now be a 2-game suspension. So violent behavior 2, we're going to define as what I just told you. However, we're going to add unwarranted excessive force, which is malicious and so extreme and severe that it places the athlete in danger of physical injury. And we'll go on to say these acts may include, but not limited to, things like headbutt, elbow, stomping, kicking, hair pulling, etc., when it's malicious. So that's what we have to try to do, is we have to try to give guidance so that we can build a consistent approach around what's malicious and what is not malicious. They could all still be red cards, but the question now is going to become, what's a red card violent VB1, 1-game suspension, or what's a red card VB2, 2-game suspension? And the difference is malicious. Okay, the fighting, and I left the roll up on the screen as it was last year, and I did a strike through just to show you what we've done. So a fight is defined as a deliberate strike or punch or an attempt to strike or punch when done in a malicious manner or in a malicious manner. So we've basically taken out what I have struck through there in the rule. These acts include, and we moved it up to violent behavior 2. So now we can say a fight is a fight. When we see a fight, we somewhat know what a fight is. And when we look at what the definition of malicious is, and this is straight out of the dictionary, malicious means intended or intending to do harm, or showing a desire to do harm to someone. So we have to ask ourselves now as officials, was this action, was this misconduct malicious? Was it intended to do harm, or was it showing a desire to do harm to someone? Okay. I can headbutt somebody, but it may not be malicious. It may just be a headbutt. It still could be a red card, but it would not be a red card VB2, and I'll show you some examples, okay? And when we think about, using our term that we talk about on the FIFA side, considerations, or what factors do we take into account when we make a decision when we're refereeing, I think those things really still play as a very relevant part. So when we talk about, and I just noticed I have a spelling error there. Oh boy. Anyways, that's violent, not violent. But sorry about that. So when we talk about what factors do we consider in making the decisions, so it's the same ones that we talk about in the other games that we do. Complete disregard of the danger to an opponent. Puts an opponent in a dangerous situation. Uses brutality, which in the FIFA definition of violent conduct, brutality is in there. So we're making the same correlations. We want to simplify this for everyone. Clearly endangering the safety of an opponent. Shows clear malice, again, the malicious. And one of the most important ones, these are all important, but one of the most important ones, in my opinion, is that we're now taking into account the severity of the action and the length of suspension. And this is very important. And when we get into the examples, I'll use that correlation in some of the decisions that I'll give you. And I'll say, well, was this worth a 2-game suspension based on the severity, or was it not? Is a 1-game suspension just fine enough for what happened? Okay, so these are the things that we want to consider here. So with that being said, I will start and I will show you a few clips as examples of what we're talking about. And we're not in a classroom setting, so we don't have the ability to have good, group discussion or voting or what do you have to call here. So I'm not going to do any of that. I'm actually going to give you the answer on these before I show you the clip. Okay, and I say the answer, as with anything we do in soccer, nothing's really black and white. There's a lot of gray area. It's in the opinion of the referee. It's based on how you look at a game. Do you have, are you a practical official? Are you more technical? Are you somewhere in the middle? So just keep that in mind. I'll give you that these are the answers necessarily, or this is the recommended decision, the recommended call, but by always, it's not always black and white. So the first clip. So here we go. I'm going to go back and I'll play it one more time. This is a clear, we have a kind of an off the ball swing, a push, a punch, another punch, a hair pull, a throw to the ground. I think anybody, when we look at what's going on here, will all agree this is a clear fight. A fight happened. It was dangerous. The types of swinging and punching and striking with force. This shows clear malice, and this was a brutal type of incident. And in my opinion, this needs more than a 1-game suspension. So therefore, this is a clear fighting. Both players is a red card for fighting, 2-game suspension. And remember, I know Todd, I think, is going to talk a little more about this, but I'll just bring it up. Remember, our criteria when we have a red card for fighting and for violent behavior 2 now is we have to notify the timekeeper and both coaches that this is for fighting. We cannot forget to do that. They have to know then that this was, in this case, this example for fighting, 2-game suspension. Okay, I'll show you another clip that is fighting. Okay, here we go. I'll show it one more time. We've got a pull from behind on the shirt. Now we've got both players striking, swinging, punching to the face, closed fist. I'm not going to talk in these clips about what the officials could have done or should have done or would have done to do a better job that way. We're just focusing on what the decision is as far as our rule. But this is a clear fight. It's clear malice. There are punches being thrown, striking, clear happening. It's excessive force, and it's extreme and severe. And this is worth the 2-game suspension. Somebody could get hurt here. Again, it's doing harm. So this is another example of the correct decision is a fighting, red card. Okay, I'll show you another example of fighting. Okay, I'll play it for you one more time. And I'm going to stop it right at the point of contact. I'm going to stop it right there. So even though this one, it's not a clear what you would call like a street fight or anything by any means. If you look at our definition of fighting, it's a deliberate strike or punch. All right, this is closed fist. The strike comes, at best to the lower face area, but definitely to the upper body above the shoulder area, and it's a hard punch. It's in a malicious manner. There's force to this punch. It's not just a little tap. So this is a red card, obviously, but this one is an example of a fighting red card. Deliberate strike, deliberate punch in a malicious manner. And quite frankly, again, this is a non-soccer type of play. You do this out on the street, you probably get arrested, and so this is needed more than just a 1-game suspension. Okay, so we'll switch gears just a little bit here, and I'll show you some violent behavior 1 red cards. And I'll play it again. And there it was. Okay, this one we're saying red card, but violent behavior 1. Okay, 1 game suspension. Again, does it put the opponent in a dangerous situation? Yes. Is it endangering the safety of an opponent? Yes. It's a clear, the ball's gone. There's force. It's a non-soccer play. But with that being said, it's not really done in a malicious manner. Okay? It's not a brutal action. A 2-game suspension for this act would be fairly harsh, in my opinion. Okay, so this is an example where the player would be sent off, but violent behavior 1. All right, next clip for violent behavior 1. Now play it one more time. Again, I have a red card on this. You can see the goalkeeper had possession of the ball, so obviously no attempt to play the ball. The goalkeeper runs out of her path just to use excessive force, just to plow over basically the attacker. It puts the attacker in a dangerous situation. It is endangering the safety of the attacker. And it's definitely, I mean, it's not a soccer play, obviously. But it's not really done in a brutal or malicious manner. So we feel this is an example of violent behavior 1. A red card on this is more than enough of punishment, and a 2-game suspension would be fairly harsh in this clip. Okay, the next example is another violent behavior 1. Red card, but violent behavior 1. And it's for this headbutt right here. And I'll pause it. They don't have a really good replay on this, so this is the best angle of it. But you know, a headbutt, head-to-head contact has no place in the game. The ball is out of play. It's a very dangerous play. Obviously, we know that, you know, anytime you see a headbutt type of motion, you're definitely leaning towards a red card for it. And this one is an example of a violent behavior 1. While there's force, the force is not all that strong. There is force, but we feel that the force here is at a level that is just shy of malicious and brutal. So this was an example, I'll play it one more time, of a red card, but violent behavior 1. Okay. All right, and now I'll move to examples of violent behavior 2. Violent behavior 2, again, what we're looking for is excessive force, excessive act, which is malicious, which is extreme, and which is severe, that it places the player in danger of physical injury. All those type of thought, all those considerating factors that will go into your decision-making thought process. And I'll play it one more time. Again, dangerous type of play. The hair pull, the ball is clearly out of play. It's getting ready to be put back into play via throw-in, and there's just no need for this in the game. It's a clear non type of soccer play. Obviously, it's done very maliciously, and it's done to do harm. Player could easily get injured on this type of stuff. Could easily be harmed with the forcefully pull of the hair, which pulls the player's neck and head back. So this is an example of violent behavior too. And quite frankly, this is more severe than just a 1-game suspension. Okay. Last year, again, this would be put in the definition of fighting. We're just moving it into its own category of violent behavior too. All right, next clip it's another headbutt. This one this is a good example to show you the difference. This is a violent behavior 2 red card. I'll play it again. There's no replay on this one, but so I'll play this a couple times for you so you can see the contact and the amount of force that's being used. Big difference as you can see from the first red card we looked at in the Wake Forest game to this one here. A lot more force being used, much more malicious. You could definitely call this brutality. More harm inflicted to the player. Okay, and very, very much more severe and extreme than that headbutt we saw just 2 clips ago. So this is a good example to show you the difference of what we're talking about here. This is more severe. This suspension, this player deserves more than a 1-game suspension if you compare it to the other headbutt that we showed from the Michigan player. Okay, so this, I'm hoping now seeing these two together is making sense for everybody. Okay, I have 2 more clips. This one is a violent behavior 2 example. And it's for that stomp that we saw right there. They're pretty bad stomp. I'll play it again. Again, that's just a dirty play. There's no need for that in the game. There's a lot of force to it here. You know, it's no attempt to play on the ball. It's done in a very malicious manner with excessive force, and you know, we feel this is more severe. This deserves more than a 1-game suspension. Okay, this could clearly hurt a player, and there's just no need for it. So the correct decision here would be violent behavior 2. 2 games for this one. And again, just as a reminder, again, I'm sure Todd will mention it, is that when we're talking about violent behavior 2 and fighting, we must report at the time to the scorekeeper and to the head coaches that we just issued a red card. We had a send off for violent behavior 2/fighting or fighting 2-game suspension. So I'll show you the next example in my final clip. Again, this would be a great clip to do in a clinic where we can talk about it. And we're looking right here in the right side of the clip. I'll play it a couple times for you. But as you can see, the player in the white jersey strikes with open hand the player in the dark jersey. And again, while I said at the beginning, it's in the opinion of the referee, this strike, we don't feel is a red card. The correct decision here would be a yellow card. Okay, we don't feel this would be, yes, a yellow card caution. We don't believe that this falls under the violent behavior 1 category. It's not really excessive force. It's doesn't really put the player in much of a dangerous situation. There is also some embellishment, you could say overreaction or exaggeration by the player in the purple jersey. So my point by even showing this is just to show that just because there is a strike, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is a send-off. So this is a good example, I think, of where the force just isn't there. It's not excessive force that a caution, for the most part, would be fine here. Again, we obviously have to manage the game and what may have happened before, what other decisions we have made, etc. Needs to be all taken into consideration. But this clip in and of itself, without knowing any other of the game factors, just a yellow card of caution is fine here. Okay, so Richard, I don't think we can take any questions, but that is my presentation for violent behavior 1, violent behavior 2, and fighting. Again, this is going to be kind of a learning in motion here for everyone coming out this summer. We'll be doing more clips like this, putting stuff out online. I'd be happy to come back in the summer with this group if you'd like, when we get some more clips. But that's my presentation for you.
All right, we have a couple of questions. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, great. Let me open up a couple of mics here. I have a couple of questions. Let me try Michael from Hawaii. All right, I'm going to ask that question for him. His mic is not working. So
Okay.
his question, let's see. All right, has to do with, looks like throwing an object by a coach, such as a chair, a water bottle, a clipboard, etc., onto the field, and obviously making contact or of some sort, will be violent behavior 2. Can you please confirm?
Well, I don't think you can say that. I don't think you can make that statement as fully accurate. I think it depends on all the factors. Well, let me start by saying, yes, throwing an object at a player is the extension of the arm, so that would be striking. Okay. But I think we have to ask ourselves, without having a clip to see, was the throwing of the object done in a malicious manner, in a brutal way, with a high level of force? If the answer is yes, then it would be violent behavior 2. But I can come up with examples of where I may throw excuse me, maybe throw the ball at a player with a low degree of force to it, where that would not be a violent behavior 2. That would fall under a 1.
So that's important to check the severity of the contact, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have to put it in context. You can't just
Absolutely.
say.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
I hope that answered the question to Michael. Too bad his mic is not working. All right, let's bring somebody else in. Let's see if we can bring Tariq. He's got a question. Tariq, do we have you? And full name and where you're calling from? Tariq, do we have you?
I don't hear anybody.
No, I don't hear him either, so I can read the question.
Okay.
He's asking about game suspension. Is the number of games suspension determined by our referee report or video evidence between the conference and the NCAA?
No, it's not determined by the video after the fact. It's determined by what we call at the time the decision we make on the field at the time.
So it's very important for all of us to read the rule, get familiar with the rule, and make the right decision on the field. Because if we make the wrong decision, correct me if I'm wrong, that can be protested, and if we made the wrong decision, that can be changed, right?
Well, it all
When it becomes a
depends.
suspension sometimes.
Yeah, excuse me. Todd's going to talk more about the rule change, and one of those is the protest rule has changed. So referee judgments are no longer going to be allowed as a protest. So if we're talking about me as a referee making a decision, is it violent 1 or violent 2? That's a judgment call. It may in fact be, not a good judgment at the time. So that would not be protestable. But to your point, Richard, it is very important that we understand not only the verbiage of the rule from a technical aspect, but we also understand, how we, the NCAA, want this applied using some of the video clip examples that I just gave, and I gave 3 of each. But we'll be, as I said, we'll be having many more clip examples coming out.
And that brings me to another question from Michael Castro from Texas. Well, you kind of answered that question. He doesn't have a mic either, but I'll ask the question. Since there will be no NCAA in-person clinics, are you planning to do some online education for 2020? And the answer will be yes.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, correct. We're going to be rolling those out on the schedule very soon. And that will go out sort of like what you're doing here. I mean, Richard, you've done a great job with these the last 10 weeks. So yeah, they'll be similar in content on various, or similar to this in various topics each week.
That's very good. And we have Todd, he's going to mention something about the NISOA, and then we have Manny, something about ECSR as well. So everybody's on the same page, and we're all doing the best we can to keep everybody
educated.
educated.
Yeah, we're all working together, and things that some of the different chapters, like your chapter here, is doing just fantastic with that. So we just want to all be on the same page. Exactly.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know, it's not like we're just doing things independently. We're actually communicating with everybody, making sure that we are giving you the right information. I have another question here for Daniel. Let's see if we can have somebody with a good mic, maybe once today. Let's see if we can get Daniel here. Daniel, is your mic working?
Dan Sobieski from California, and it looks like there's only 2 classifications: violent behavior 1 and violent behavior 2. So what's the difference between violent behavior 2 and fighting?
Yeah, that's a good question. The difference is striking. So the fighting, fighting would be the first 2 clips we saw. Those are clear fights. Everybody would say, yeah, we just had a fight. We saw a fight. The difference is deliberate striking or punching, okay, or an attempt to strike or punch by the technical definition.
Okay, so there's 3 classifications then.
Well, you have fighting, which would be a deliberate strike or punch in a malicious manner. Okay, don't forget about that's the key point, in a malicious manner. That's fighting. Violent behavior 2 are all those other extreme malicious acts, brutal acts, other than a strike or punch. So the headbutting, the hair pulling, the elbowing, the stomping, all those actions.
Thank you.
All right, Richard, I really appreciate you having me on. I hope this was helpful. You know, this will take some time, you know, to get a handle on, to get a good practical approach out. So I think this is, like I said, this was the first presentation that I've done, but we'll be doing a lot more of this, as will the other associations too.
Yeah, no, definitely. And thank you for coming by the second time. We needed these explanations, and I know Todd is going to talk just briefly, and throughout the summer we're going to be, I know NCAA with NISOA and ECSR will be putting online educational clinics, and that's always good. So we really appreciate it. Thank you, Ryan, and have a lovely day up there, right?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Todd,
All right, so that was Ryan. Yeah, so that was Ryan Cigich, everybody, NCAA National Coordinator of Officials. So thank you, Ryan. Just a quick reminder, next week we'll have Christina Uncle and Ted Uncle, plus a surprise guest. And the main topic is going to be referee IQ. So it'll be next week, the 12th, 6:30 Eastern Time. All right, what's next? Who do we have next? Next is going to be Ted. Ted, let's see if we have you. Do we have you, Ted? Todd. Todd, do we have you, Todd?
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Great. So just a quick reminder, everybody, you can write your questions online, rwiso@gmail.com, or you can use the questions feature in the webinar, and we'll open up the mic so you can ask your question live if you have a microphone. So
Can you see my screen or not?
we're bringing you in right now. You can share it now.
Okay, great. See my screen now?
Yes, there you are, 2020 NCAA rules changes.
Great. Well, thanks. I appreciate the time today to have a chance to talk to everybody. Glad that we have so many people attending. I wanted to start by talking a little bit about what NISOA will be doing over the summer to start to train on the rule changes, because there are a lot of rule changes this year. Ryan covered the violent behavior 1 and 2 rule change. I'll talk about the rest, or at least outline the rest of the changes and not get into detail today. The rule book hasn't been finalized and printed yet, so until it is printed, we can't get the final verbiage and all of the details of these changes out to everybody. But it's expected to go to press here in the next couple of days and should be available online and available for us to start training by the middle of June. We'll put together a training schedule on NISOA.com for everybody. Our approach to training this summer is going to be to cover the rule changes in 3 one-hour sessions. We know that people can't sit through much more than about an hour of online training, so our intention and approach is going to be to break the rule changes up into 3 one-hour sessions. We'll record those sessions as well as show them live, obviously. And if someone can't attend, they can always view on our YouTube channel the rule change session. And then after we've gone through the 3 sessions over a course of 3 weeks, we'll open it up for a Q&A session for anybody who wants to join and get into more details and specifics about the rule change. So this is meant to follow the format that we've been using with both these programs here from the Westchester chapter, the Rockland Westchester chapter, as well as the stimulus material that's been done week in and week out by Lance and Tori and Mark Kahan, who've pulled together a number of great presenters and presentations for everybody over the last now 10 weeks. And so that's our approach for the summer. We'll also be doing some joint clinics with ECSR. Manny will talk about that. Those clinics will be in addition to the rule change work that we're doing for the general population. So with that said, I'm going to go through an overview and outline of the rule changes, but not get into detail on any of them, because first of all, we don't have time to go through this. As I said, it'll probably take us a total of about 3 hours to go through the training on all this. And also, just because the final verbiage is not completed yet and the rule book hasn't gone to press. So with that, let me move to the next page here. So this has been a year, or will be a year, of significant change in the NCAA rules. The NCAA made major changes for the purpose of closely aligning the NCAA rules with IFAB laws. It's important to recognize that although the NCAA has made major changes, we are not 100% consistent with IFAB. So it's important to understand what the differences are, and I'll share a page at the end of some of the more important differences. But there are differences that you ought to understand, and there are differences both in interpretation and nuances that we will go through during the more in-depth presentations that are critical because the NCAA wants us to follow NCAA rules, not IFAB laws. Because these changes have such an impact, there will be changes in mechanics that are required by a number of people by everybody in the referee crew. I'll touch on some examples, again, very top line for now, but we'll get into some of those in more detail. And we ought to expect teams to have different tactics associated with these rule changes. Just to kind of do a little bit of a spoiler alert, we all know that the rule change on restart in the penalty area, goal kicks or restarts in the penalty area, the ball no longer has to clear the penalty area to be in play. So as an example now, the position for the AR needs to be the typical offside position, not the top of the 18, which was the position for the AR under the old rules. But we also have to expect now there'll be more challenges and more play in the penalty area on these restarts if a team chooses to play quickly. So the referee has to both expect different tactics for quick restarts out of the penalty area, as well as potentially change positioning to be in a better position to evaluate plays that are occurring in the penalty area. So because of this, and because of everything that's been going on, we will be doing all of our training online, just like the NCAA and like ECSR. We don't believe there'll be any opportunities to do in-person training. So we want people to use some of the features on the NISOA website, the Ask NISOA feature, to get clarity on issues if there are things that are concerning that haven't been instructed to the level of detail that people feel that they need. And we also encourage everybody to be brainstorming with each other about situations that we need to cover, about changes we need in approach to the game, and about what we should expect from the teams and what we ought to expect from our crew in these different names. Additionally, you may not like some of these changes, but frankly, that's not up to us. The rules that the NCAA wants us to play with are the NCAA rules. So as I said, there may be some things that IFAB has instituted that the NCAA has chosen not to. You don't get to decide. The NCAA has decided we need to play with the NCAA rules that they've chosen to use. So let me go through the rule changes. Some of these are more important than others, but just so you have full visibility to the rule changes for this year. There's been some changes to the ability of coaching staff to be able to stay outside the team area and still communicate with each other electronically. We know that there's no way for us to control and monitor that, so the NCAA has now written into the rules that the coaching staff may not, doesn't need to be in the coaching and team areas, but may communicate with each other via electronic devices. Note that a coach who's suspended loses that privilege, but again, our job is to monitor the coaching area and not worry about who they're communicating with. An important change is that video review has added yet one more aspect to it. There's now another video review situation where we can review timing errors. So as you think about this, the kind of situation to think about is a situation where you stop the clock for a misconduct. There's a restart after that where the clock doesn't start, and then you can go back and correct that time difference based on whatever means you have to understand how much time has elapsed. So in this case, the clock doesn't need to be visible in the video review for you to be able to make a change in the time. You can look on your watch and see 7 seconds elapsed, for instance, and make that change. A couple of things that are important here. One is that timing correction has to be done at the next stoppage of play. Someone can't come to you at halftime and say, hey, there was a mess up in the 15th minute, go back and add 15 seconds and let's finish the first half. So that needs to be done And this is especially important for situations at the end of the period. So again, you can imagine a yellow card with 15, 20 seconds left in the half. The clock doesn't start right away. Someone takes a shot and scores, and then you can go back to video review and see whether that goal would have counted or not. And if the goal would have been after time expired, you need to remove that goal. But we'll cover that in much more detail during the in-depth training that we do over the summer. As Ryan mentioned, the protest rule has been changed. So protests now may only be filed for situations involving illegal participation or identification of players for misconduct. So some of the things that people are asking about, can this be protested or not? The answer is no. So it's even more important on some of these violent behavior, fighting, misconduct situations to get it right on the field, because there is no recourse for the team. And your decision on the field will determine the suspension for the player. And the coaches and teams have no recourse once you do that. Talked a little bit about restarts and the fact that restart procedures are changed when the ball is inside and outside the penalty area. These rules, 9.3 and 2.3 that I talk about here, have to do with drop ball. So a drop ball now is no longer contested. All drop balls are uncontested drop balls. Opponents need to be, and teammates, all players need to be 5 yards from the drop ball site. And any drop balls occurring in the penalty area are dropped to the goalkeeper, no matter which team last touched the ball or was in possession. The determination on who gets the drop ball is the last team touching the ball, not the last team in possession. So again, it's important for you to pay attention to that. Restarts on drop balls, again, all players, opponents and teammates must be 5 yards from the ball. So this requires some referee crew cooperation to make sure there's no encroachment happening behind the player, behind the ball, where the referee can't have 360-degree view of what's going on. And clearly, referees need to position themselves when they execute the drop ball to be ready for the next phase of play. But again, cooperation with the assistant referees is critical in these situations. There's also some changes here in terms of when the referee is involved, when the ball hits the referee, and that creates an advantage for one team or it changes possession. That also results in a drop ball restart, and we'll cover that in more detail. Accidental handball, the handball rule has been changed to align with IFAB. So now if a player gains possession or control of the ball after it's accidentally touched their hand or arm, and then does one of the three following things: scores a goal, creates a goal scoring opportunity, or scores directly from their hand or arm, it becomes a handball offense. Now it's important, a couple of things are important here, and again, we'll get into much more detail around this when we train over the summer. But first of all, not all accidental handballs are now offenses. One of these three occurrences, one of these three follow-on actions needs to happen. And this is especially important in the defensive penalty area. If there's an accidental handball in the penalty area, in other words, it's not deliberately played by the hand or arm, then one of these three items most likely doesn't occur. You probably will not score in your opponent's goal in your own penalty area. You will clearly not create a goal scoring opportunity from your team, and you will not be able to score directly from your hand or arm. So you should not be calling a handball on a non-deliberate contact between the hand and the ball in the defensive penalty area, resulting in a penalty kick. All very important, and we'll show some video on that and get into details on this as we do our training over the summer. Mark Geiger did a really nice job on this with the stimulus training a couple of weeks ago. And for those of you who watched that presentation, I think this is clarified for everybody. There's also now a definition of what constitutes the arm. And the arm is now defined as the point where the lower part of the armpit down to the end of the fingers. So this part, the shoulder, is no longer considered part of the hand or arm. The part above the armpit is no longer considered the hand or the arm, and that clarification will be helpful for everybody. Violent behavior 1, 2, and fighting. Ryan just spent a lot of time talking about the difference in definition here. Let me emphasize a few of the points that Ryan made here about reporting and about suspensions. Violent behavior 1 is a 1-game suspension. Violent behavior 2 and fighting are 2-game suspensions. Violent behavior 2 and fighting both require that the player or players, the scorekeeper, and both coaches are notified that ejection has been for violent behavior 2 or fighting. Both violent behavior 2 and fighting require that you fill out the NCAA ejection form, as does all ejections. So again, anytime a player is ejected for any one of the ejection offenses, whether it's serious foul play, violent behavior, fighting, spitting, a second yellow card, denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity, all of those require that the NCAA ejection form is filled out on the NCAA website within 24 hours of the end of the match. This is critical because suspensions are different based on this, and there's an automatic system within the NCAA to inform the schools involved of these ejections, just to reinforce the fact that there is a suspension and to help the schools follow the suspension protocol to make sure there is not an illegal player in the future. So these are important reporting requirements. I also want to remind all the referees that once a player is ejected, he must be out of sight and out of sound. So he must leave the premises, leave the field before the game is restarted, which obviously gives the referee both plenty of time to report to the scorekeeper and the coaches why the ejection is occurring, and also is an opportunity for the referee to make that, to have that communication with the coaches and then get away from the situation until the player has left the field and left the site of the contest. Free kicks and goal kicks. I talked about how goal kicks are taken and free kicks within the penalty area are now taken. The ball is in play now once the ball is kicked, not when the ball leaves the penalty area as it previously had. That does not change the defender responsibility to be leaving the penalty area and clearing that area for the play to restart. So just like a free kick in the middle of the field, if the team taking the kick wants to play quickly, they're allowed to, but the team defending that free kick still needs to clear the penalty area or be 10 yards away from the ball and be 10 yards away from the ball in some of these situations before the kick is taken. And a player who is not respecting the distance or not leaving the penalty area needs to be instructed to do so. And if you have to instruct a player to do so, then you've now created a second whistle situation before you restart for these, just as you would do with a restart at midfield. And lastly, the penalty kicks position of the goalkeeper has been clarified to be aligned with IFAB and shows penalties for the violation of this for the goalkeeper. So if a goalkeeper is not properly positioned, the first time you warn the goalkeeper, the second time you caution and show a yellow card, and of course the third time would be a second caution and ejection for a goalkeeper that violates the provisions of the goalkeeper position on a penalty kick. So that's an overview of the things we'll be talking about this summer, and we'll split this in thirds, and we'll spend a third of the 1 hour on each of a third of these rule changes, with some video and more detail around both the actual rule changes and the mechanics and tactics that we need to deal with to accommodate these rule changes. I did want to spend one last minute before I open it up for questions and move on to the next presenter, to Manny's piece, to talk about the IFAB changes that have not been adopted by the NCAA. So these differences remain. And again, you may not want these differences to remain, but that's not your choice or my choice. These are the ones we have to referee by. So the NCAA still requires substitutes to leave the field on the bench side of the field at midfield. As you know, IFAB has changed this in the spirit of trying to speed up the game to allow substitutes to leave from the closest point to where they are when the substitution happens. The NCAA requires the substitute leave the field on the bench side at midfield. This is frankly a player safety issue. We want them leaving where the benches are and the team area is, not where the fans and spectators are, to avoid any problems. NCAA substitutions allow and actually require players to be beckoned on the field sooner than the player leaving to speed up the game, since the clock doesn't stop for substitutions unless it's the last 5 minutes of the second half and the leading team is substituting. So in order to maintain speed of play, you should beckon the player on before the substitute leaves the field, which again is a difference between NCAA rules and IFAB. NCAA rules require injured players attended on the field must leave the field, and they cannot remain on the field for any reason. One of the IFAB changes this year was that if that injured player was meant to take the penalty kick, that player could stay on and take a penalty kick. The NCAA has not adopted that change, has not adopted that exception. So a player who's injured and attended to on the field must leave the field. He doesn't or she doesn't need to be substituted for and may return during the run of play if they're not substituted for, but they cannot stay on and take the penalty kick. Another change IFAB made was allowing referees to delay a caution if by doing so they would stop a promising attack. The NCAA has not adopted that change either. So if you have an advantage situation, or if the restart wants to be taken quickly to maintain a promising attack, you may not do that. The referee must issue that caution at the time of that stoppage and not delay the caution to allow a promising attack to continue. And lastly, when we get to tie-breaking situations in playoff games, tie-breaking situations are considered a continuation of the game from the NCAA's perspective. And so any yellow cards accumulated during the game carry over to the kicks from the mark to the tie-breaking procedure, whereas IFAB has made a change saying that the kicks from the mark misconduct is handled separately from any misconduct during the game. So again, want to make sure that we at least highlight these changes, and we'll talk about them more when we do our rule change sessions over the summer. So that's a very brief overview of the rule changes for this year. I'm sure there are a lot of questions around this, and hopefully we'll be able to add more color and clarity as we get into the more formal training over the summer. We should have the training schedule up within the next week. We're just trying to find out the date that we have access to the final NCAA rules and the final verbiage, and we will then get all those clinics scheduled. They'll all be webinar, Zoom kinds of clinics that'll be open to all of our members to participate. So with that, I'll turn it back to any questions that we might have, and turn it over to Richard.
Yes, Todd, we have questions. I'm going to open up the mic for Tony, see if we can find Tony real quick. You have a lot of questions. Every time we talk about rules, we have questions.
That's good.
All right, Tony, you're there. Full name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Tony Obas here in North Texas.
Hi,
Can you
Tony.
hear me? Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
So regarding the second bullet point on the player that needs to come off,
Yes.
For the injury, if there's does that player still need to come off if there's a sanction?
Yes. He gets a substitution exception, so that player may be substituted for, and it wouldn't be charged as a substitution. But if there is a yellow or red card, the player still needs to come off if he's treated on the field. However, that substitution doesn't count against his allowed re-entries if he comes back in.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Tony. How's the weather like in Texas?
Hot. Extremely hot. So.
Hot. All right. Texas hot, which is different than New York hot and Chicago hot.
Yes, definitely.
All right, have a good one. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Tony. All right, we have more questions. We have a lot of questions. I have a question from a guy from Florida, Julio from Florida. Has no mic, and it has to do with the handball rule. His question is, does the NCAA new rule change define what is the normal position of the arm? And he's saying arm above the shoulder, for example.
Yes, And we'll get into a lot more detail, as I said, in the detailed training. But this is a case where the NCAA and IFAB are completely aligned. So if you want a preview of what we'll be talking about with handball, you can go to the NISOA YouTube channel and you can look at Mark Geiger's presentation that's on that YouTube channel. And he went through a lot of the details on handball and the appropriate interpretations moving forward. And we'll get into that in the handball discussion over the summer. But yes, we will define appropriate position of the hand, including using the hand to help yourself balance on the field if the ball happens to hit your hand when you're using the hand to maintain balance, and all those kinds of considerations and situations that have come up as part of the IFAB law changes.
Very good. Julio, that's your answer. And for everybody, if you go to youtube.com/NISOA, NISOA, that's going to bring you right into the NISOA YouTube channel. And you have a lot of videos there. That's where you're going to find the video that Todd keep talking about with Mark Geiger there. So that would be youtube.com/NISOA. All right, let's open up the mic for someone else here. We have Diana. Let's see if we can get Diana. Am I pronouncing it right? I hope. Hello, Diana. Full name and where you're calling from.
Can you hear me?
Hello, is this Diana?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi,
Yes, we
I'm
can hear
calling
you.
from, yeah, I'm calling from Massachusetts. I'm just wondering in regards to being treated on the field, does the goalie need to come off if treated on the field, or is that rule remaining?
That rule remains. So there's an exception for goalkeepers. Goalkeepers may be treated on the field. Thanks for bringing that up. Yep. Goalkeepers still have that same exception in the rule. That has not changed.
Thank you.
Yes, we good? So,
Good.
any other question? All right, so we have a couple more questions. So that was a good one, though, to remind everybody about the goalkeeper exception. I'm going to open up the mic for a referee from Kansas. He has a question. He actually had a question for Ryan, but you know the answer. So, and it's an important one, had to do with fighting and all that. So I want him to get the answer because I'm sure there are many referees out there that do have the same question. So let me find his. Let's see if we can open it up. Let me get to David first, since I have him right here. David Nunes, how are you? You have a question? Ryan can answer the question. Go ahead. What's your question, David, and where you're calling from?
Thank you again for taking my question. I'm from originally from Oklahoma. Ryan knows me from Oklahoma, but I'm currently now in San Diego, California. All right, my question, trying to pull the question in, was regarding, it was the video, I can't remember exactly the video, but it was when the guy kind of turned around and kind of hit the guy with a hand, kind of elbow. Assuming that the defender, it's on the attacker's back, but he doesn't turn around or anything, just kind of elbows the guy back. And then it hits, let's say, in 3 different scenarios: the neck, the face, or just kind of the chest. What are the if you can't categorize that, what would the behavior be on those scenarios? And also, I think it was partially. I think it was actually answered about the report. If I'm not mistaken, the fighting and violent conduct to. Those are the ones that we need to actually report to the coach, the scoreboard, and create the report, but not the violent conduct number 1. Am I correct?
The NCAA ejection form needs to be filled out for all ejections post-game. So that has to happen for all of the ejections, no matter what the reason, whether it's serious foul play, violent behavior, or any of the other ejections that are listed in the rule book. The reporting, you're absolutely correct that reporting to the scorekeeper, reporting to the both coaches, and obviously the player who is involved is only required for violent behavior 2 and for fighting. In terms of the scenarios you bring forward, it's hard to talk about those scenarios without a video example, because I think Ryan made the point that it has to do with the malice, severity, and intent of those actions. And I think for the kinds of situations you talk about, those are the considerations. Is it deliberate with malice, with intent to injure? If it is, then it's going to be violent behavior 2. If it's somewhat of a reaction and it's still violent behavior, but it doesn't have intent and malice, then it's probably violent behavior 1. And of course, the point of contact is a consideration, and the impact that it has on the player is a consideration. And so all those things have to be taken into account when you make your judgment. But to talk about it as absolutes without having a video to look at and considering those factors, it's really hard to give you a general answer for those different things. And I hope that helps. Did that answer the question?
Yes, that answered the question. And this is a reason why everybody should be attending the summer courses, NCAA clinics and the NISOA clinics and ECSR clinics. That's the only way you're gonna get these answers. You need to watch the video and kind of like understand the differences, and otherwise you're not gonna get them. So just talking is not gonna help us. All right, so let's bring one more person in. Thomas, let's see if we can bring him in. He has a question, and it has to do with, do we have you, Thomas? Yeah, Thomas, you're here. Where you calling from, and your question for Todd?
Yeah, hi, Todd. Tom Stagliano from the Boston area, New England Association. Just wanted to check to make sure that the like IFAB has done it, NCAA has also changed the procedure for a drop ball, and also for the number of whether attackers can get into a wall.
Yes. So I did mention the drop ball. Thanks for bringing up the wall. That's part of the restart changes. So similar to IFAB, another change we'll be talking about this summer is that if a defensive wall of 3 or more players is formed, all attackers must be at least 1 yard away from the wall. So we'll talk about the specifics, about the mechanics on how one should execute that as a referee. Obviously, place the ball, set the wall, make sure the attackers are all 1 yard away. Once the restart is signaled, if the attacker infringes on that 1 yard after you've signaled for the ball to be put in play, then it's infringement by the attacking team, and it's an indirect kick coming out. So basically, the team forfeits its restart. And we'll talk about that more, but again, it's 100% consistent with the IFAB changes, as is the drop ball. So the drop ball is non-contested. All players, all teammates and opponents must be 5 yards away from the drop ball. And the player who plays the drop ball may play the ball direct, may play the ball continuously. So they may dribble. The requirement is that a second player touch the ball before a goal can be scored.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good to hear you again.
Thanks.
Great. Do we have any more? We have Michael. See if we can bring in Michael. Different Michael. Do you have a mic, Michael? I don't think you have a mic. No, he doesn't have a mic, so let me read this. Does last year's guidance that the player who commits an offense that instigates a fight should also be sent off still apply? That's
Yes.
the question from Michael, Todd.
Yes. I think, though, I don't want to oversimplify the violent behavior discussion, because I think Ryan did a nice job of setting parameters. But one way to think about it, which is helpful, at least for me, is involves going back to the history of and the evolution of the fighting rule with the NCAA. For those of you who have been around the block a few times, you'll remember it was almost 10 years ago that there was a widely publicized hair pulling incident in a women's game in the Southwest. And it made ESPN and everything else. Everybody probably remembers that. If you haven't seen the video, go look it up on YouTube. I'm sure you can find it. And that stimulated the NCAA to broaden what at the time was a very narrow definition of fighting and include these acts that were considered to be violent and to be against the spirit of the game, not soccer plays, as Paul Tamburino would say, that are not soccer plays, that they wanted to eliminate the game and have them punished more severely than simple, quote unquote, simple violent behavior. And so the fighting rule expanded to include things like hair pulls, headbutting, and things like that. And over the last number of years, people have been confused by the breadth of the fighting rule. And so what's happened now is the NCAA has said, and I think rightfully so, is let's call a fight a fight. A fight is what you would normally call a fight. People throw punches at each other, that's a fight. All those other things that we used to add to fighting, like malicious headbutting, like a violent hair pull, are things that are now violent behavior too. The things that were old violent behavior, things that are a reaction but still require an ejection, are violent behavior one. So plays off the ball where someone reacts and throws an elbow, for instance, or where someone throws that backhanded slap that you saw in one of the videos that rises above simply a caution to violent behavior is violent behavior one. None of the guidance that we've provided before has really changed. It's just trying to help people understand the difference between fighting and those other acts which we want to penalize just as severely as violent behavior too. So for me, that's somewhat of a simple explanation. I know it's going to be more nuanced and we'll spend a lot more time on that. But if it helps people, I think one of the ways to think about that is simply to think about what used to be part of that very broad, all-encompassing fighting rule has now been moved into violent behavior too. The suspension is the same, it's still 2 games. The punishment is the same, it's still an ejection and that 2-game suspension. But it helps delineate the difference between what everybody in the world would call a fight and what we used to call a fight last year before this was clarified. So none of the guidance changes.
Great.
None of the approach to this changes. And if Ryan is still on the call, he may comment on this as well. But that's we'll get into more detail on this. All of us. Ryan will over the summer. NCAA through Ryan will do that. I'll do it through the NISOA training we do this summer. We'll probably get some more perspective from Ken Andrus, the Secretary of Rules Editor, as well. And we'll make sure that it's very clear to everybody as we get into the season how to differentiate violent behavior 1, violent behavior 2, and fighting. But I can't overstate the importance of making sure the reports are accurate and reflect that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Richard. Hello, did I lose you?
Yeah, are you there?
I'm here, yep.
Okay, great. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah. So did I get cut off? Did I lose you somewhere in the middle of that, or are we okay?
No, we got you. No, we got you. We got you. That was just making a comment that now more than ever, it's important for the referees to
make sure the report
know
is
who to communicate to during the game and how to file reports.
Yes.
Especially with the violent behavior 2 and fighting.
Exactly, and differentiating.
So if you wanna mention that one more time, because I just really want to make everybody to at least.
Yeah, and again, it's really critical that the reports reflect the situation and the reason for the ejection, because the suspensions are different. And it's critical for the teams and the players to understand what the ejection was so that they serve the proper suspension.
Great. Great. I think we have one more. I think we're good. Yep, we're good. No questions. Thank you, Todd. Any final words before we go into Manny?
Well, just look forward to seeing everybody in our summer training sessions. Please don't hesitate to ask questions if you have them. We are more than happy to spend the time it takes to get everybody comfortable with these rule changes. And the more questions that people ask, the more we can get clear guidance out to the referee community. So don't hesitate to use the many vehicles we have to ask these questions so that we can answer them for you. And of course, you can always email me directly, tabraham@nisoa.com, if there's something that you want to talk about.
Yes, you can find Todd's email on a website, NISOA.com, under About Us in the Executive Board. Todd is the NISOA Senior Director of Instruction, so you'll find. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the great work everybody's doing there at NISOA, and stay safe.
You too. Thanks. Appreciate the time this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. That was Todd Abraham, as I said before, NISOA Senior Director of Instruction. So thank you, Todd. Just a quick reminder, next week, Friday the 12th at 6:30, we're going to have a surprise guest coming in. We'll probably announce it by Wednesday of next week. And we're going to have Christina Uncle and Ted Uncle, FIFA Pro referees. The topic next week is going to be referee IQ. And you can find more information on our website, rwisoa.org, rwisoa.org. Questions for Manny. Manny's coming up. Email us at rwisoa@gmail.com or use the questions section on the webinar. And we'll open up the mic. If you don't have a mic working, just let us know, and so we read the question and we don't waste any time. All right, so who's next? Manny. Let's see if we have Manny here. Manny, do we have you?
Hello,
Yes, I
Richard.
can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, Richard, clearly.
¿Qué pasa?
¿Cómo estás, mi amigo?
Muy bien, órale. So we have Manny Ortiz Jr., NISOA Hall of Fame. By the way, Todd is a Hall of Famer, and we have so many Hall of Famers, NISOA Hall of Famers. I'll tell you what, next week, I'm just going to do a section on Hall of Famers because we had something like 12 of them, 11 or 12 of them that showed up. So it's great to have you guys. It's great to have you, Manny. You are one of the co-founders of the Elite College Soccer Referees. You're also the officials coordinator of a soccer coordinator for the ASUN, the Big 12, the Conference USA, Southland, and you are a NCAA regional coordinator, right? Am I wrong?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am. Yes.
And that's some of your titles. I know you're humble and you don't want to mention the other titles, so I respect that. So before we go into a clinic, before we go into those videos, nice videos, by the way, I'd like to talk about a little bit of the Elite College Soccer Referees. If you can tell us a little bit of what you guys been doing, what you're planning to do in the summer. I know you're going to be doing some stuff with NISOA, with the partnership. So if you don't mind talking a little bit while I'm showing your website here.
Okay, thank you. Am I on the video? Am I can't see my face on there as far as the, am I on live or not?
You are live. You should be live.
All right, okay.
I don't know if you got the request to open up your webcam. Just click on that and
Share my webcam, right?
yes, go ahead.
I did.
You did.
Come on. Thank you. Thank you.
There you are. Yeah, pleasure.
Yes, thank you, Richard. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone. Thank the Rockland Westchester ISOA for the invitation, and Richard for the hard work. You guys are doing a great job here. This is amazing. Very happy to see this, and it's great. You're training referees and helping referees and improving referees, and it just makes the game better, helps the game, and that's great to hear and great to see, and great to be a part of. What I was going to mention also before I start with talking about anything that plays or ECSR or anybody is I hope everyone is healthy and safe in these times. You know, different times. I'm getting to be one of the older guys. I know some of you think I am the oldest guy probably, but I think Todd's a little older than me. I'm joking, Todd. Yeah, actually, he probably is a couple years older, but
Thanks, Manny.
so he knows he knows I love him, and I mean that, and I'm just being fun. I'm just joking around. Todd was when I was past director of officer of NISOA years ago, president years ago, and Todd was my and I say this all the time because I mean this sincerely. He was my vice president when I was president, and I'll tell you now, I don't know how I would have made it without Todd. I mean, the guy is amazing, and you know, I was very grateful. My soul is grateful for having. I was so happy to have him as my vice president for advice and guiding me in the right direction. As far as like I mentioned, I hope everyone's safe and healthy, and I hope your families are safe and healthy, and you know, take care of your kids, take care of your family, and I just, like I said, hope everybody's well there. As far as ECSR, this is our fifth year ECSR. Obviously, no clinics this year, no classroom clinics, as Todd mentioned and Ryan mentioned. But we are doing some clinics with NISOA. We're excited about that. We're doing a couple webinars with NISOA, and we're looking forward to that. We hope everybody can join us for that. With ECSR, kind of most of you are familiar. Those of you that are not, you know, because as Richard posted our website on there, you can actually, you're on the website now. Good stuff, Richard. You're on top. You're ahead of me, pal. You can log on and look up information about us. Basically, we have 25 conferences total. 20 of them are Division I, and there's only like, I believe, 32 in the country. So basically, you math guys, what is that? 65.8% of the Division I conferences, at least, we have ECSR in the country. And we, as far as with NISOA, last year we signed an agreement to do joint clinics and had tremendous success. Last year at those clinics, we had a great time working with them, and the clinics went off very well. A lot of you were there, and we're going to continue to do that. Like I said, hopefully in the classroom next year, and with NISOA, we're going to do that, and hopefully we can. You guys would come out and join. If you haven't been to a clinic, I think it's worth your time, and I think you would enjoy it. With regards in terms of like what I'm hearing, nothing's official. So don't say, hey, Manny said this or Ortiz said that, or Ortiz told me we're going to play for sure. No, I'm not saying that. But it looks, from what I hear from my 4 conferences, it looks really good in terms of that we are going to play. Obviously, some of them conferences, it's affecting everyone, some to a greater extent than others. And for example, with like even like the majors, and the majors are the Power 5, you call them the majors. There's 5 of them, and even those conferences are affected. I know a couple of them already have mentioned to me that they're not my conferences, but other conferences, that they're gonna do a lot less traveling for the center referee, keep it within driving distance. So they're basically looking for ways to cut costs. And some of you that are not familiar with how that works, basically the two two key financial areas that really help the NCAA with the majors and then division college soccer, college sports in general are the March Madness, which we didn't have, which affected a lot of people, and the and like I said, that's why they're for sure trying to play football, because college football brings in a ton of TV money, considerable amount of TV revenue there. So they really want to play, if at all possible, and it looks like they are going to play there, along as far as the our college football season and our college soccer season. And like I said, it might be shortened, but that's the way it looks now. With it's also going to affect, they tell me, Division 2 and 3 in NAIA with fewer games. Like I said, in some cases this is official already. You've already been informed. In other cases, you will be informed soon, because a lot of these meetings are taking place, as we speak, in the next week or in the next week or two. So there'll be some more news coming down the pipe real soon for everyone to hear. One more thing in terms of the presentations that Todd and Ryan did, two excellent presentations. They're great. What I want to mention about that is with the reports, be sure that we do the reports correctly. Be sure that we fill out those correctly and in a timely manner, because in the past there's been some thrown out because quite frankly you didn't turn them in time, and it was a problem, or you wrote down the wrong reason. So make sure they're correct, make sure they're accurate, and make sure they're in a timely manner. And one last thing I failed to mention with ECSR, we're doing a weekly clip on there. And so it'd be great if you guys can log on there, and we're doing a weekly clip on the front page there, on the front screen, opening screen, homepage there. So that'll be good to try to get you to think and analyze plays and start getting into that mindset of being prepared for the season, getting ready for the season here. Okay, so here's one that one of the ECSR referees is doing. This is a Conference USA match. As you can notice, very good movement, good anticipation by the referee. Good movement. He sprinted there. The game needed him to sprint there. He sprinted. He read the situation. When the goal was scored, you can see where he was inside the penalty area. So very good refereeing here. Very, very good movement. Very good stuff here by the referee. Cigich, that's my buddy here, one of my referees, Robert, and he also does MLS when I let him. That's a joke. He helps me out when he's free from that.
He happens to be the director of instruction, by the way.
What now?
He happens to be the RWISOA director of instruction.
So hey, I'll give you permission to show this clip. All right. You have my permission, Richard.
Okay, thank you.
So anyway,
okay,
moving right along, we're gonna go. We have a couple plays that I wanted to show you.
Can I ask you a couple of questions? I already got a couple of questions. Maybe
okay.
You can answer them.
One I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I thought it was at the end, Robert.
Registration process?
Say it again?
No, it's okay. You know what? It has to do with ECSR. It has to do with ECSR. So I figured, let me ask the questions now. One has to do with the registration process, and the other one has to do with the background check. Can you talk a little bit about those two things? And then we'll go into the clinic, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course. As far as the registration, what's your question exactly? As far as what's the question exactly on that, Richard?
Okay, let's see. It's coming from Marcos from DC, the Washington, DC area. He wants to know if he registers online for the ECSR, number one, does he have to attend a clinic? And since there will be no physical clinics, in-person clinics, does an online clinic count for the requirement?
Yes, correct. There won't be any classroom type of clinics, and yes, attending a ECSR clinic or ECSR NISOA joint clinic, or an ECSR NCAA joint clinic, all those count, yes.
All right, and the other question, I know we talked about that in private, but I have that question, and this is from Jennifer, and she's from Ohio. She wants to know about the background check. Does the NCAA background check count as, will that be accepted by ECSR?
Yes, we accept the NCAA background check, correct. Yes, we do, Richard.
Great, so you answer those questions. Let's move on.
Okay. You got it, Richard, or I have it?
I've got it.
Okay.
I got it. Right, we'll be right there. Give me 1 second. Bless you. There you are.
Excuse me. Okay.
I'm ready when you're ready. Can you see it?
Okay. Thank you. We're going to go over assistant referee involvement. We're going to analyze a couple videos here, and basically the what, where, and the whys on communicating. You know, AR to referee, referee to AR, questions to ask. The what, why, and where, as I call it, of referee AR involvement / communication. Is what we're going to do on this one. This first one, I think you're going to really like this clip. This clip's a very good clip. We're going to go over here the positioning, the teamwork here of the referee AR. We're going to go the same thing: positioning, communication, teamwork, and then the other officials on this. Also, just so you're aware, there were no radios used on this match, and there was 4 officials on this match. On the match, 4 officials assigned, 4 officials on the match.
Very good. You ready?
Okay. All right.
I'm ready when you are.
Yeah. Okay. And then you can see here, if you can play there, go ahead, start video there, Richard. Okay. You can see here the white team, which is UAB, has the ball. All right. Free kick. They knock it back to their defender, one of their center backs there. They play the ball a couple times in the back. All right, and then we're going to show this again. All right, Richard? Is that playing okay for you, Richard?
Yes, we playing it.
Okay, and play it again. Okay, a long ball stirred. All right. Goalie comes out. Outside the penalty area. Referee blows his whistle. And then moves towards the goalkeeper and issues a yellow. Now, if you could show it one more time, Richard, one more thing I needed to cover on this. Do you notice, look here, see the defender, the white jersey defender play the long ball. The referee, I know we're not talking about positioning in terms of, it's more AR referee involvement, communication, but the referee's in his own half. So there, you know, we have to have what I call it some sense. Look at him. You can see he's going to line it up. His ball's on his left foot. You see he's going to play a long ball. Just look at his body language, the way he moves. He's going to play a long ball. We should be in the other half because you know he's going to hit a 40, 50-yard ball at least. I mean, these young men are strong. They can play the ball long. They're very athletic. You can see he played a very long ball. Goalie's out. Comes out, handles it. Referee correctly blows his whistle for the handball there. All right, and issues a yellow. Now look, and also look here that, keep playing it, Richard, keep going.
Where you want me to stop it?
Yeah, keep going outside, just let the whole thing play.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you can see, and if you notice here, look where the referee is when this long ball is played. Is you know, one correction there, and he, would have helped him a little. He's by midfield. Goalie comes out, handles it. Pretty clear, he handled the ball outside. Referee stopped the clock, which is good. Issues a yellow card, all right? Now, if you notice, the referee never looked at his AR. Never glanced, never looked. And this is one of those situations, plays where you gotta have to at least glance at your AR on this type of play. Okay, Richard. So if you go to the next clip, Richard, the next please. Okay, so then with the assistant referee, okay, assistant referee, Richard, go ahead. Is he in position? Yes. The assistant referee here clearly saw the play. All right. Did he have communication? Did he communicate with with the referee? No. Was there any teamwork there at all? None. All right. The other officials, was there any communication? No. And like I mentioned, this all started with the center referee not looking at all at the AR who was on that half of the field who saw the play. And also the other big problem here was the AR knew it was a handball, clearly knew, but he didn't signal to the referee. He didn't call the referee. He didn't, like I said, it had no radios. He didn't communicate at all. He didn't get the referee's attention at all. And as you guys are well aware, in this kind of situation, if the referee is issuing the wrong card, then you need to get the referee's attention. One of the errors or the fourth has to get the referee's attention. All right. And then go to the next one. Next screen. Next. So do we have Spar Doxo here?
Should we bring some people in to see what they have to say? What do you think?
Yeah, of course. If anybody, there's one or two people that answered.
Yeah, let's see if we can bring somebody in. I'm just gonna randomly choose someone here. Let's see, who's gonna be a lucky one? Make sure there's someone with a mic.
Yeah, who's got a mic? Who's got a mic? Let Richard know, and he'll call on you now.
I'm bringing somebody in. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna try to see. Let's see. Let's bring somebody. We'll bring somebody in. I'm gonna bring Brandon. Let's see if Brandon Will is around. If he wants to talk. See, Brandon, are you around?
I bet you Tarek's around.
I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm looking. You know, I know. I'm gonna bring Sam. Sam,
Okay.
I'm gonna bring Sam. Sam, you
Hi,
still
Sam.
muted. Come on. Come on, open your mic. Come on, Sam. All right, how about now, Sam? Is it working now?
You on,
Hey,
Sam?
Rich. Hey, Rich. Hey, Rich. How are you?
Sam, how you
Yeah,
doing?
man.
Hey, how are you? Hi, Manny. How are you?
How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing well. Salam
Tell me your
alaikum.
full name.
Who asti?
Salam alaikum.
Khumi. I remember that for always. I hope you're safe as well, and thank you for taking the time to give us this real incredible clinic here. On
Thank
the
you for having
question,
me.
I say
Thank
dog.
you
So
for being on and having me.
yeah, that's Richard. That's all Richard's doing there. So thank Richard. Thank you, Richard. On the question, I say Doxo, just because if that player, I mean, all the 4Ds are there. The defenders are behind the ball. If you erase the goalie there, I think it's one touch, maybe two touches at most. That ball's in the back of the net. So that's denying a goal scoring opportunity by that factor. So that's my opinion. That's my call.
Okay. Very good. Does anybody have you want me to give the answer now, Richard, or one more? You want to call one more person?
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find someone.
Well, office.
No, thank you, Sam, for following us every single week. It's important.
Thank
really
you. No,
appreciate
thank you
it.
for providing this. This is really good. It's bringing the whole referee community together. I encourage everybody in my chapter always to be tuning in. I hope they are. This is not about chapters. This is about the NISOA and education and the personalities, like you said, like Manny Ryan and Todd tonight and past personalities. So this is incredible. So kudos.
Mashallah. Mashallah.
Mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. Look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's see if we can find an SPA. Anybody with an SPA, put your hand up. Anybody with an SPA, and explain it. Anybody? Anybody?
No, they got
Let's
it right.
see, late. I don't know, late. Do you have an SPA or dog? So what do you have?
About what? Sorry. The play that just happened?
Do you have
Yes.
an
Yes.
Sorry. Questions?
SPA
What's your
stopping a
decision?
promising attack or a dog stopping that play? Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
about the play
Do you
that
have
just
a
happened.
also
With
or
the-
a promising attack?
I have a stopping a promising attack.
Yes.
I know he was the last player, but he was shielding
Okay.
the play.
Very good.
Okay, so who's this? Nate?
Late, yes.
I'm sorry, repeat your name, sir.
Late,
Blake?
yes. Late.
How you doing? How you doing?
Hi.
Okay, so what do you as far as why would you have, what's your reasoning for you say you have SPA is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And why is that?
Well, the player was okay. I wasn't paying too much attention to that, to be honest with you,
Okay.
but I was paying attention to the handball, whether it's outside or inside. But
Okay.
to me, he was a little bit far from the goal. It's outside the penalty area.
Okay.
There were players around over there, some other defenders around.
Okay.
So there was a play.
Let me ask you this, Blake. If the goalie would not have handled it, would the attacker have had a touch? If you look again at the play, you'll see that it was outside the penalty area, but it's pretty much almost centered to the goal. It wasn't like by the corner flag or anything. So if you look at that again, you can see that he's pretty much centered to the goal. And do you not think he would have been in if the goalie wouldn't have handled it?
Okay, maybe if we play it again, maybe I will see that because I wasn't paying attention, like I was saying, to the spa or doxo. I was paying more attention to the communication and the.
Okay, that's fine. Can you play it again, Richard, real quick? Okay, Blake, watch this one, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. It's a doxo.
Okay, very good. Ding, ding.
It's a doxo. I can see all the four.
Correct.
4Ds in there.
Good, good.
Like
Okay.
I said, I wasn't paying attention to that. I was paying attention to other factors, which is the teamwork and communication and all of that stuff. My apologies.
No problem. No problem. That's all we're here to help. We're all here to help each other.
Yeah.
So as you can see, as Blake mentioned and Richard mentioned, basically the 4Ds and Sam mentioned, right? Sam was before Blake, right, Richard? They mentioned the 4Ds are all met here if the goalie doesn't handle the ball here. This forward's in. He's in. It's a goal. Let's go next slide, please, Richard.
I'm just gonna play it one more time so they can see it.
Okay.
Then we're gonna break it.
Okay. Look, long ball. You can see these boys are fast. Okay, so now you look. He doesn't handle it there.
That's picture.
There's the shot. This is the shot here. He doesn't handle that. He doesn't commit a handball here. The goalkeeper. That forward's in. Look where he's at, center of the goal. And in the next slide, you can see you take the goalie out of there. he's in for a goal. He's in. It's a tap in basically on that. So yes, we have Dogso here on this play. All right. Dogso handball, red card. Goalie has to go. What happened here? Is, as you all have noticed, is the referee issued a yellow card on this play. Is what he did. So if you go next to the next slide, Richard.
I'm going back now.
Thank you. Gracias, Che. Okay, so some corrections. As I mentioned earlier, no radios were used here. So step one, he called the foul. Good. Step two, he moves to the area. Good stuff there by the ref. Now, here is where you always, on these type of critical match incidents, these type of plays, game-changing type of plays, we have to always be aware, ladies and gentlemen, about your surroundings. But if you're not looking at your crew, you're not going to be aware. You're not going to know. So you always have to be aware. And also, this is also plays into a little bit, your pregame on what you're going to do on these type of plays. If you need to communicate, if you don't have radios, like I mentioned, on this game, there was no radios. And a lot of games they're not using Voceros yet. A lot of referees don't have them yet. A significant percentage don't have them yet. So you have to have this in your pregame, this discussion. What are we going to do? What kind of signals we're going to use in terms of pocket, hand to your chest pocket, yellow card, hand to your back pocket, red card. Whatever signal you use, you got to communicate that before the game, before the match starts. Now, the big number 4 here, the big takeaway from this for me, or one of the key points here, is the AR has to convey this message, must convey this message to the referee. AR cannot let the game restart until he has given the information. Why? Because this is a red card situation. This is a red card. We just can't let it just happen and let the referee make a mistake here. We have to help them out. We have to give information. Now, I know some of you are going to ask me questions now. Well, Manny, if I tell the referee it's a red card and he still gives a yellow, he's still I know the referee is not going to give a red because he's going to think it's a yellow. That's his choice. It's on the referee then, but at least you provided the information. Or I know some of you are going to say, well, Manny, how can I tell him it's a red card, or her, or the referee, on a play like this when they were so confident and they came out right away and they looked so sure of their decision? You just have to. You have to convey this message. Critical that that you do this. And the other thing too, and this is my problem, not yours, but as as an assigner, and Ryan can testify to this also, and other signers, conference signers, we get phone calls on these type of plays, and coaches ask me, well, Manny, I thought on a play like this, they are supposed to tell him. And I'm like, yes, you're right. He is, but well, why didn't he? I mean, don't you train him to do this? And I'm like, well, yes, I do. So it's really, this is a play I really, like I said, I can't defend, the referee or the AR, because they didn't follow mechanics. They didn't communicate properly, at all. So these are the type of corrections we need to make. We need to think about, and discuss before the match starts, and have a plan on what we're going to do if this type of situation or similar type of situation happens on this, these type of plays. But like I said, remember, we must relay this information to the center referee. Okay. And like I said, have to have a face-to-face there. If the referee's not going red card, we have to have a face-to-face, some type of discussion. I think I've said that about 8 times now, right, Richard? Do you think they got the message? If you go to next screen, Richard, next slide.
I think you hear me well?
If you go to next slide, please.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, you're fine. You're clear to me. Richard, you there? Richard, anybody have a question?
I can't hear Richard either, Manny. I only can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Is that you, Richard?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. I can
Yeah,
hear
I'm
you now.
sorry. I don't know what happened. I was talking to myself in cyberspace for a little bit. I felt like I was in a real game, you know, when I'm being ignored by everybody. Oh boy. All right. So you see the first screen of video 2 analysis.
Yeah, could you show me? I can't see it anymore. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now, go back to let's finish. There's one more clip. Is there one more slide on the video number 1, or we covered them all? Can you go back?
We covered them all.
We covered them all?
Yeah, we covered. Yeah, we got them all.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to video number 2 now. Now, on this one, also communication, you know, assistant referee, AR, referee communication. In this match, the center referee's radio was not working on this one here. So we're going to do here on this one, we're going to discuss the positioning, you know, the communication, the teamwork, basically everything we covered on the first video that we analyzed. All right. Go ahead next, Richard.
So we go right into the video?
Yep. So we're going to video here now. Got a free kick for a white jersey team here. Go ahead and play.
Is the video playing in your computer?
Not on mine. Is it playing on yours?
Yeah, it's playing on mine.
Okay, now it's playing. You can see the ball served. Okay, gets knocked around. Then the white team scores. Okay, and you can see, okay, play good. Is it playing on yours, Richard? Is the our referees able to see this?
Yeah, it's playing on mine. Let's see, Todd, do you see it on yours?
It's really choppy, so it didn't play smoothly. It showed the ball being served, then it just showed the goal celebration. So you may have to play it again.
Now play it again, please, Richard.
I'm playing it again. Let me know if it works.
Okay.
It's still doing the same thing?
Yeah, it's frozen.
Mine's is frozen.
All right, let's try something else.
Okay. Well, we've got a break here, Todd. Do you have any dates that you know of already, Todd, for NISOA webinars that you can share with the referees online with us now?
Well, as I told everybody before, we're waiting for the final rule book to get published, the verbiage. We can't do that until it gets published. My expectation is that it'll be published around the 15th of June. And so we'll start doing training probably the Saturday after that. And we just have to get the schedule pulled together. Once I have confirmation on the final publication date, we'll publish the dates for the clinics. Lance's, we'll put that out on the NISOA website for everybody. But it will be second half of June is when we'll start. We'll obviously avoid the July 4th weekend, but we'll probably have something on one weekend day each of those weeks in between.
Very good. Thank you, Todd.
Let me know if he's working better now.
Working better now. Yep. Now it's smooth. Yep.
Okay, so white jersey team was shooting a free kick. I'd say what, Todd? 35 yards out or so?
Looks like it. Yep.
Approximate 35, 34 yards out. Ball served. Goalie plays it. Attacker plays it. Another attacker plays it for white. They're celebrating. Referee. This referee did look at his AR. Also here, what you don't see, you didn't see, is the AR here stood at attention when the goal was scored. Okay, so a couple things here, couple points here. If you could play one more time, Richard, please. Ball served. Goalie plays it, loses it. White player 17 plays. And then it looks like maybe 24 played it from white also jersey. And then the referee went to the AR2 there. And they took away. Now, what happened here, basically, what happened is AR2 stood at attention. 17 and who's on the right-hand side, who's by the AR, and 14, who's by the far post, the two white jerseys, they both try to play the ball. Or they both look like they're kicking for the ball. There's a defender on the ground. So what happened here is the AR2 was slightly screened. He couldn't tell. He could not tell who kicked the ball, whether it be 17, who played it last, or 14. And the reason why that's so important is because one of them was in offside position and the other one wasn't. So obviously, he had to find out from the referee what who played that. So referee looked and saw the AR was standing there, moves to him, and communicate, and they have a short conversation. All right, and go to the next. You can see that they have a short conversation, discuss the play, probably for about what, 5 or 6 seconds. Richard, short time, eh? Short discussion.
It looks like about 10 seconds.
Yeah, okay. I'll just say 7 or 8 seconds. So short, all right. So it's communication there. So go to the next slide, Richard. The next one. Okay. So what we look at here, remember, referee's radar's not working. Does the referee have a view here of the play? Yes. Does he have a clear view? He has pretty clear view. Yes. Does he have information for the AR? Yes, he'll find, but we'll find out for sure when he goes to him and speaks to him. AR2, does he have a clear view? Well, the judge offsides. In this case, in this particular play, no. Why? Because he stood there at attention and to show that he wasn't sure exactly what happened. Okay. So basically here, what you're having here and the other officials, okay, basically what's happening here is the referee has part of the information and the AR has the other part of the information. And together, when they put their minds together, and exchange information, they'll get the decision right. Okay. The other thing you have to realize, you have to think about here, I know heat of the moment. I know everybody's excited. I know it's a close game. I realize a lot of pressure. There wasn't that much time in the game. It was a close match, not much time left in the match. But having said all that, you have time. Why? The clock is stopped. So the clock stopped. So there's no need to rush. We need to get it right. We must get this decision right. So what you'll do here is, you have to communicate here. Okay. Another reason there's a need for communication is AR1 is, of course, dealing with the coaches, and they have no clue what's going on because they don't see a flag, and they see two referees, officials talking, so they don't have no clue what's going on this play yet because there's no signal and yet. So we go to the next. We'll go to the next slide, please, Richard. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, some corrections steps to take. Which these referees did it well. This referee team did it well. Okay, take your time. Ball is out of play. Clock is stopped. You're in no rush. You can take a few seconds like they did. Okay. Now the other thing is you have to ask questions, preferably the right questions. Okay, so it's an example of one of the right questions in this situation is, tell me what you saw. Tell me what you thought happened. I mean, those type of play, or tell me what happened. Just, you can ask those type of questions. If that's still not clear, you're still not getting, the referee is still not clear on what he should call, the decision that he should make, then you can ask it a different way. What part of the play caused you to have doubt? And that'll open it up a little more. And then that way, like I said, they can exchange information. And like I said, what happened here is the player near the attacker, the white jersey attacker, near the AR.
You want me to play it again?
Not, yeah, well, yeah, I'll play 1 second. It was not in offside position, and the attacker by the far post was, and the AR could not tell which one. As you can see, they're next to each other. Which one played it? Go ahead and play it again, Richard. If you can. Go back. Okay. Okay. Ball served here, right? Okay, and stop it when I say Richard, and stop. Okay. 17 on the right was the one who was not in outside position on white jersey, and 14 to her left, closer to the far post, was an offside. 14, as everyone can obviously see, played the ball. But like I said, with that defender on the ground, and you have 6 legs there, 6 or 8 legs there by the ball, it was hard for the AR to judge that one. So when he gave the information, the referee gave him the information on who played it, what number played it, and where that player was, the referees made the correct decision on this play and called offsides. So very good teamwork. Good stuff by the crew here. Show it one more time. And you can notice the referee did very well. Immediately he recognized there was a problem and went to his AR. So this is good stuff here. This is good communication, good teamwork, good awareness on the referee's part, on the referee's part, very good awareness, good stuff. Next clip, Richard. Okay. Decision. Offside, interfering with play. Questions, Richard. Questions by the referees.
All right, let's see. We have questions. Hold on. See if we can open it up now. I'm working on the questions. They're popping up. Okay, let's see. We have Said here. Said, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm looking for Said or Said.
Said.
Said. Said, you there? Said, you there?
You with us, Said?
¿Estás Said? Hi, Said. I can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Awesome. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you can pronounce it as Said. Yes.
Said, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Your full name and where you're calling from and your question for Manny, please.
Hello. Yeah, I'm calling from Virginia. I met Manny a couple times in Florida. He probably reminds me. So I don't have a question. It's just as a remark to this last video that we just saw.
Yes.
It's unclear to us, like Manny said, it looks like there's the defender who fall down prevented us from seeing the whole picture of who played that ball back. We still don't know probably if it was played back by number 17 or it was deflected by the defender who's on the ground. If it was played by the defender on the ground, I would agree that if it was played by the attacker number 17, that's probably an offside. But one thing that I made a remark is I did not like the positioning of the center referee. He doesn't seem like he could have any information for his assistants. I think the whole call was made by the assistant, since the center referee was 35 yards behind the ball with such big crowd inside of the penalty area anticipating that ball. There is no way that he could see anything from where he was. I would have liked if he was a little bit closer, try to get a different angle to really help with anything that might happen. I'm still not sure if there is foul there maybe as the ball went in. It seems like the goalkeeper did have a touch on the ball, but I'm not sure if there was a foul on her because she just released the ball right away. That I wouldn't expect some help from the assistant referee, probably more from the center referee. So I don't have any question. It's just like trying to look at it.
I'll tell you. I mean, could the referee been a little bit closer in? Yes, but what you have to realize there, from his angle, he had more of a straight-on view. The referee from where he was, yes, he was a little bit of a distance, but to me, his view from where it looked like I'm not exactly 100% sure where he was when that second ball was played off the goalie, but it looked like he had a straight-on view, which he could easily tell whether number 14 or 17 played it. And that was the information that the AR2 didn't have. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
The AR2 didn't have that because all he could see was two different legs from the same team swinging at the ball. So he didn't know the AR2 I'm talking about was not certain which one of those legs, whether it be 14 or 17, that actually shot it into the goal. So from where he was, that actually wasn't a bad view in terms of distinguishing that, having that correct angle for that. If you look, see, like I said, yeah, sure, he could be a little bit closer. And like I said, we don't know where he is exactly because I don't think it shows it when they scored the goal.
Manny, one other thing you can point out is notice who celebrates after the goal is scored. They all go congratulate the player that was in the offside position.
Yeah.
So you can also notice who gets the celebration.
And stop. Okay. Oh, can you go back a little bit, Richard? Just about a second. Back more. Okay, and I'll tell you when to stop. Keep going. Stop now. Okay. You can go back for another second if you can, Richard. You're too slow, Richard. There. Good. That's the shot there. from there, for where the referee is, like I said, you can't see him in the camera view, but you can see that the girl with her right leg, the girl, I guess is 14 on white on the far post. You can see she played it, scored a, shot the ball with her right foot, which the referee from where he was had I think had a good view of that. Yes, he was, like I said, could have been a little closer, but at the same time, he had a direct on view where he could see that right leg swinging and kicking the ball, passing the ball in the goal, shooting the ball in the goal. There.
Well, and also, Manny, I don't know if you heard me, but Manny, can you hear me? It's Todd.
Yeah, you're good. Go. You're on.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you just keep on playing it forward, you'll see after the ball goes in the goal, they all go congratulate 14, not 17.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another clue for the referee team.
Next question, Richard. Anybody else?
All right, we'll bring him in. Hold on. Questions. Yeah, Leith is making the same point as Todd, that the offside players saw the decision with the celebration. So
yeah,
that's a good point there.
Also, too, but like I said, to me it looked like the referee, where he was lined up when the kick was going to be taken, where he was moving, he had a straight on view, which you could tell. The center referee could tell that it was the girl on by the far post played it in with the right foot.
All right, any more questions? Anybody else with any more questions? All right, I don't have anybody. No questions.
All right.
No more questions.
Well, listen.
Any final thoughts? Any final saying? Any? Yes,
sir. I'd like to once again thank you, Richard, and your Rockland Westchester ISOA group for inviting me. We'll be happy to help. I know Todd will be happy to help. Not that I'm speaking for him, but Todd, be happy. Ryan, you need any of our help. We love to talk about refereeing in soccer, and it's what we do and what we love, and I hope to see everybody out there this season. I hope to see a lot of you out there, and continue training, continue working out, continue taking care of your families, staying safe. And we hope to see you on our webinars we're going to do with NISOA and with NCAA. And I thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thanks, Manny, for your kind words before. And I want to reinforce the great collaboration and partnership we have between NISOA and ECSR.
Thank you, Todd.
Before you leave, let's see if I can open the mic. Apparently we have a new referee, first year college. Let's see, and let's see if you can give him an advice. Ivan, are you there? Ivan Cruz. Can we hear you? Oh, don't have a mic. Well, so Ivan Cruz, he wants to see if you can give him what's your advice for someone that is going to start college games for the first season this year. Manny, coming from you, what can you tell them?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll answer that, but I want Todd to answer that also first, because Todd's still active, and I'm not really active. So Todd can give you a little bit different perspective, and I'll also answer that. Go ahead, Todd.
Well, first, congratulations on joining the college ranks. I know you've been working toward that, because every referee that joins the college ranks has been working toward that goal for a while. And my advice is to first do what you're doing, which is learn as much as you can, absorb insights and perspective from other referees who have had some experience. Learn the rules inside and out, because being correct on the rules is critical for all of us in the game, whether you're an assigner or whether you're a referee. It's important that we have the rules down right. And of course, maintain your physical condition, because this year especially, it's going to be up to us to maintain our physical condition, since we don't have the summer games to work and need to make sure that we're ready for the season when it starts. And ask questions if you're not sure, because we all learn from each other. And welcome aboard.
Great. That was great. Thank you, Todd.
Is Cigich still on or not?
No, Ryan dropped off.
Okay, all right. Ivan Cruz, where's he from? Florida?
I don't know, Ivan. If you can hear us, where are you from? Yeah, he's from Florida. Yep, you know him.
Yeah, I know. Yes, yes, Ivan. Everything that Todd said, you need to do and continue with the fitness, with the learning, with the education piece, with asking other referees. You know, the thing we used to do in the old days, the young guys don't do it as much now, but we used to in the old days is we used to, after games, whether it be a under 19 game or a semi-pro game or a ethnically game or a college game, we would a lot of times go and have like a soda pop, okay? I'll say together and discuss the game. So that's also, if you have a group of friends, referee friends that can help you with that, or you can discuss the game after the game. You can discuss your match, you know, after the game, and talk to your fellow crew, talk to people you respect. You know, continue to do the games you're doing. Because I sent this guy Todd last year. He did well. So keep up the good work and continue to go to the chapter meetings, whatever chapter you're in Florida. You know, go to those meetings on a regular basis as much as you can, because all you're gonna do is learn. And you know, when I was your age, it was always like a sponge. You know, from all the veterans and the senior guys and the good guys. They help me so much. So, you know, talk to them and they'll be able to help you and teach you, and go watch them. That'll also help you. Go watch them work some games when you have time, when you're not refereeing. So, and like Todd said, the rules are very important. You got to know that, because you can run a 4-minute mile and you could have played first division in Spain, but if you don't know the rules, you don't do me any good. You don't know the college rules, you don't help. You don't help me any. You don't help Todd any, because you just you're gonna have problems. So we don't want problems. So make sure you're prepared as far as your knowledge of the rules. You know, make sure you're well versed in the rules.
Yeah, that's great advice. And also find yourself a mentor and someone that, not necessarily someone who's been around for a long time, but someone who you feel comfortable with, and learn. You know, pick up a couple of things here and there and learn from other people, and self-assess. You need to self-assess. Even if you're an old-timer, you need to self-assess. After every game, you need to analyze your game and try to correct things. And that's the only way you can make it all the way to the top. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Manny.
That's good advice. Good advice. Thank you.
All right, last one. Tom, go ahead.
One more thing to that too, which is the level of professionalism expected at the collegiate game is even greater than at other games you referee. Remember, it's the full-time job for these collegiate coaches. They don't do this in addition to teaching like a high school coach. They don't do it as a weekend hobby like some of the Sunday league coaches. This is their full job, their full-time job, their only job. You have to approach it with that understanding. I had a coach tell me and tell us at a referee clinic, how well you do your job determines whether I get to keep mine. And I never forgot that, because they have to pay their mortgage based on our ability to call the game appropriately.
Yeah, that's very important. The way we approach the game is completely different. You're absolutely right. The way we manage the game is completely different. All right, great. So let me bring one more person in, Tom. Let's see if we can bring Tom. Tom wants to say hello to Manny. Tom, you there? Full name and where you're calling from? Tom, you there?
Hey, Tom.
Yes, hi, Tom. Everybody's mic shy today. What's going on? It's all right. Let's finish off with Assad. Assad is always there, always has something to say, something important to say. So let's bring Assad. Assad, you there?
Hey Richard, how's it going?
How's it going?
Good,
Your
good.
full name, where you're calling from, and your kind words for Manny and Todd and Ryan.
Assad Amanovich from Iowa. Don't have a question. Just want to thank Manny, Todd, and Ryan for taking time out of their days to present this to us.
Thank you for being on. We appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thank you all for all you do to stay current and professional with how you're approaching the game. It certainly makes our job easier when you take the time and have the interest to stay current.
Great, thank you, everybody. And final question from Tom. He doesn't have a mic. He wants to know if there is if anybody hear anything about any possible policies regarding COVID-19 before the start of the season, doing the preseason, doing the training sessions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is NISOA going to put anything out there, some sort of policy, steps, and what to do, what not to do, and the same for ECSR? Let me start with Todd so we can finish on that note.
Yeah, so I do know the NCAA has a large medical and health and wellness staff. And we reached out to them, NISOA reached out to them to understand what recommendations they're making so that we were aligned with those recommendations. And after talking with the health and safety staff at the NCAA, we're going to wait for them to put guidance out, and we will follow that exactly. They'll have that guidance out in time for students to participate, and we'll be providing guidance for officials for all sports, and we'll follow that guidance and communicate it to all our members once it comes out. We believe that they have better expertise and are probably the right authority to provide that guidance for us as officials.
Very good. And I guess ECSR will do the same or something similar, Manny?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're doing the same thing. Follow along with NCAA recommends their policy and guidelines, and we're going to do that correct.
All right. So thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Manny. Ryan, thank you. Without you guys and all the presenters, there will be no RWISOA webinars. Without the NISOA Foundation Fund sponsorship, there will be no webinars. So thank you, everybody, for helping us out. This past 10 weeks, I think they've been great. Great presenters. Great education. It's just a kickoff of what's coming next. Everybody, keep an eye on the ECSR NISOA joint clinics. Those are great. They're always great in person, and now online they're going to be great as well. Keep an eye on future NISOA clinics, NCAA clinics, and of course the RWISOA webinars. We have 2 more to go before we pull the plug for the year. So again, thank you, Manny, and thank you for everything you do for the referees, and the same to you, Tam, Todd. Thank you for everything.
Well, then, thanks, Richard, for your leadership in pulling this together for not only your chapter but for the referee community as a whole. We all appreciate it.
And
great stuff, Richard. Richard, great stuff. We appreciate everything you do. You do a great job there. This is great stuff. And also thank you to my colleagues, Todd and Ryan, for their excellent presentations tonight. I enjoyed them. Thank you.
Thank you. And for next week, I'm going to have to upgrade the number of countries. We have a note here. Very good interaction, guys. Excellent topics from a referee from Trinidad and Tobago. So now we hit 15 countries.
Great.
So thank you, everybody. It's been great. Thank you, Manny. Again, next week, join everybody. Join us next week, the 12th at 6:30 p.m. We're going to have Christina Onco and Ted Onco, FIFA and Pro referees. We're going to be having a conversation on referee IQ. Plus, we're going to have a surprise guest. So once again, thank you, everybody. Thank you for giving us 2.5 hours of your Fridays for the past 10 weeks. We really, really appreciate it. And thank you again, ECSR and NISOA, NCAA, and everybody else for allowing us to bring this to everybody. Today we had 507 registrations, so 507 referees plus the Facebook Live. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Have a good
Thanks
night.
again. We enjoyed it. Great stuff. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Manny. Thanks, Richard.
Yeah.
Say good night, Gracie.
Have a good one, guys. Have a good one.
Good night.
Stay safe. Good night.